As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
But first, we get to open with a really fun story, right, Paul?
Yeah, we have a bit of a silly story, which I think we both agreed would be just kind of fun to open with because of the nature of the story. And fundamentally, the story was, again, it's an esports story, but it's interesting because of what actually took place here. So just a bit of background. I'll show you guys the headline, or I'll read you the headline here if you're listening to this podcast. It's Florida Tech's Funk Textile Museum to become esports arena, generating mixed reviews. And the gist of the story here is that this person, Funk, who is a philanthropist who died, donated $1.25 million to Florida Tech to build her namesake facility. And it was going to be the first and only textile museum of its stature in Florida. Now, budgetary woes sort of hit this textile museum hard, and now Florida Tech, which is very STEM focused, is converting this textile museum to an esports arena, much to the dismay of Funk's descendants. And so it's kind of a fun story. It's like, I don't know, William, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is an interesting one for me, because for me, this is really like a, there's a reason why we decided to put it in. It's like it shows you how times change. You know what I mean? Because I think it's easy to hear the words textile museum today and kind of think, oh, that's such a dated, like antiquated concept. But like, honestly, textile was one of the major manufacturing industries for most of, basically modern history. And it's still incredibly important to the global economy. It's still a huge industry, right? But it also shows you how like esports is seeping in other places and displacing these old, what candidly do sound more antiquated. They're maybe not, but like their esports is kind of pushing its way in. And I think it's sort of a funny story, particularly to see it here, like taking over a textile museum, because it's sort of this very nice parable of like, here's the new kid on the block, like get this other stuff out. I also think it's kind of an interesting thing to think about too, because it shows how, basically resources are being reallocated to reflect the new economy. You know what I mean? As I said, textiles are like incredibly important to American history and global history, right? And it's so funny to see like an esports arena be something that's strong enough and compelling enough to push, or at least for decision makers to feel like it's worth pushing out that, regardless of the mixed reviews it's been getting. So, and apologies, I know it must, if I donated all that money to have a textile museum in my name and it turned into an esports arena, I'd be pretty upset. But
yeah, I mean, quite. I understand why they're upset, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's interesting also in the context of the other discussions we've had around esports and colleges or universities. And I think particularly interesting because a lot of these private schools are not strapped for cash, but they're all they're all coming under pressure to sort of justify every investment and focus on areas that will drive real revenue and real growth for the university, right? And I think what we're seeing is this is a perfect example of a university looking at their bottom line going, this esports thing is going to drive more applicants to come to Florida Tech. And so it's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's way better driver of revenue than a textile museum. And I think good universities are all realizing that. And this story is funny because where we've seen many examples of universities building new facilities or committing to new facilities. I think this is the first one where it's like, hey, you guys, like, get out of here. We're using
replacement. It's like, well, that building could probably be used for, anything else, something else. Yeah.
So, it's just another, I think, sign of this trend, which I think will only accelerate, of every, reputable college and university in the country having both academic programs and facilities for people to play and compete.
Yep.
Because that's what's going to attract people to their, especially STEM focused like universities like Florida Tech. It's doubly important, I think. So it's an interesting but a fun story. And although we feel sorry for Funk's descendants.
Yeah, it does. It's unfortunate. I mean, like I said, as much as it's sort of funny to make light of it, it is tough, because, that's presumably that person made a hugely significant contribution to the school. And you would wish that the school could have found another way to achieve this end, right? Like, esports didn't want to take over the textile museum. It seems like that was the directive of the school, but yeah.